We all know Spider-Man is a prominent figure in my channel. I mean, with all the videos I made relating to the amazing webhead, I feel like that's a no-brainer. But what really got me into Spider-Man as a kid was when I played a game on the Wii, which, as you can see from the title, yes, it's Friend or Foe. Now, I was like, I want to say 6 or 7, but to be honest, it was so long ago that I don't even know anymore. But over a decade later, while I was waiting for my copy of Sparking Zero to arrive, I pulled out my Wii and was in a nostalgic mood. So I was like, sure, why not? And I put the disc in, and it all came flowing back to me. Here's a brief overview of the game. Spider-Man Friend or Foe is a 2007 beat-em-up game produced by Activision and Next Level Games. The former, which gave us games like Call of Duty, Prototype, as well as a bunch of early 2000s Marvel games, and the latter, which gave us Punch-Out for the Wii and Luigi's Mansions 2 and 3. It's very clear this game was made to capitalize on the popularity of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, especially how some of the characters are an exact replica of their designs. But this game has a unique story in the 71002 universe, which is basically an alternate timeline to the Raimi universe, where Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Venom, and New Goblin don't die. And they introduce many more characters who never appeared in the Raimi movies, like Lizard and Rhino. Speaking of the story, let's talk about it. So basically, the game opens up with Spidey fighting his iconic enemies with New Goblin, only for a bunch of symbiote lookalikes to appear and teleport them away. And just when Pete was about to fall victim to them, he gets picked up by a flying spacecraft to be greeted by a whitewashed Nick Fury. For the first level, we already start off with two choices for your sidekick, Silver Sable and Prowler. It's then revealed these symbiotes are called Perpetual Holographic Avatar Nanotech Offensive Monsters, or for short, Phantoms. They originated from a meteor shower similar to Venom, except these guys are apparently a much bigger threat. We then meet Black Cat, who just so happened to be in the area, but luckily for Spidey, instead of having to fight his ex, she's willing to lend him a hand in the pursuit of Doc Ock. Speaking of, we then get to the first boss of the game, and from the looks of it, it seems he has the power of the sun in the palm of his hand. This boss is kinda whatever, to be honest. Just throw these crates at one of the generators, then beat the crap out of him. After we beat him, it's then revealed Otto was being mind-controlled thanks to the meteor shard. And, wanting to get his revenge, he joins the Spidey crew. Eventually we arrive at the Oscorp building, in Tokyo mind you, and we fight Green Goblin. This fight also doesn't really stand out, as all you do is throw pumpkin bombs, but I guess it's slightly better than the Doc Ock fight. And again, you win and Gobby wants to join. Then we go to Tangaroa Island, but during the briefing we have some comedic moments.
Warning, has a big tail. Warning, smells like a rhinoceros.
But yeah, we get to Scorpion and, yet again, another mediocre boss fight, and he joins the good guys. But then we meet Iron Fist, armed with his nice yellow booties. Hey, I didn't come up with that, the game did.
Nice yellow booties.
But yeah, after saving his nice yellow booties, he joins the good guys. After that, we get to Rhino.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
I'll admit, this is one of the better boss fights in the game, but in the grand scheme of things, its competition is very minuscule. What happens next? You guessed it, he joins the good guys. But before we head to Egypt, it turns out the computer is a menace to society, as it convinced the security staff Nick Fury was an android decoy. Eventually we meet Lizard, who to be honest, may actually be my favorite character to play as in this game. But if Lizard isn't mind-controlled, then who is the big bad guy in Egypt? I honestly have no idea. It's Sandman. I mean, who else would it be? Let's be honest with ourselves here. The boss fight isn't anything to scream about, but the soundtrack is a banger. But again, Sandman joins the good guys and we move on to Transylvania. We eventually run into Blade, who luckily is willing to help out Spidey in his pursuit of Venom, which then we get to him, and just like in Spider-Man 3, he was mischaracterized as Black Carnage. And not to mention, he says I instead of we.
I won't be defeated by you.
We are Venom.
The boss fight is really just punching bells, making this, in my opinion, one of the easiest bosses in the entire game. And that is saying something. but it's at the very least creative as we take advantage of the symbiote's weakness to sound. After we beat him, Venom reveals that the person behind this whole thing is a guy with a bubble head. And this Bubble Man is someone we can meet in Nepal, a country I believe was only named because its mountains look like nipples. And as you expect from a final area, the phantoms in this area are as strong as they get. Then it's revealed the big bad is none other than the fishbowl head himself, Mysterio. After the phantoms overpower Spidey, he decides the only way to beat them would be to wear the symbiote suit, or as they called it in the game, the black suit. And then, we get to the final boss against Mysterio. This fight is kinda neat, I guess, but again, it really isn't anything super noteworthy. But after the fight ends, Spidey takes off the black suit, and thanks to his efforts, Nick Fury was nice enough to have Pete's school loans paid off. But after he leaves, it seems like we got some sequel build up here.
Considering the mess these things have made, Carnage. Call it Project Carnage.
Affirmative. Project Carnage initiated.
Haha! It's funny because there is a symbiote villain named Carnage. Speaking of Carnage, when I was doing my research for this video, I found out he and Electro are playable in the PSP version. Talk about a shocker. But unfortunately, it seems like we'll never know how things turned out considering 1. Activision no longer holds the licensing rights, and 2. From what I've seen, this game didn't really do so well. But why is that? Well, I believe the main issue lies here. This right here is when the game starts to fall flat. Like, look, at first I had a jolly old time revisiting a game I had so many fond memories of. But the thing is, the gameplay just got so repetitive and boring relatively quickly. I know you can say that with a lot of games, but most of these games at least have a difficulty increase, an intriguing story backing it up, or something at least. I mean, yeah, I guess the phantoms take more hits to kill, but that doesn't really help considering there is no consequence to dying in this game. I mean, look, being able to play as characters like Venom and Green Goblin was an amazing idea. The unfortunate thing is that it's really the only appeal to this game. There's also a versus mode, but let's be honest, that requires friends. And I'll be real with you. A grown-ass man in his mom's basement playing a Spider-Man game intended for kids is likely not someone you think of as having friends. I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is, it's just so damn easy and repetitive. But Nathan, you play a bunch of easy and repetitive games like Mario and yet you don't seem to have an issue with it. Well, while it is true most Mario games do fall into this category, but at least dying in those games has consequences. I mean, I did find out if you die in the boss, you have to start the boss all over again, so that's something at least. But whatever. Look, I really wanted to enjoy this game. I wanted to make this video titled Spider-Man Friend or Foe, an underrated gem. But in all honesty, I feel like this game isn't talked about for a really good reason. But enough of that. Let us get to the final verdict. As disappointed as I am to say this, I do not think Spider-Man Friend or Foe holds up well all these years later. The story is not that spectacular, the gameplay is boring and repetitive, and overall, it just falls flat. Though I did enjoy some moments of the game. I mean, I actually had fun with it, for like a couple levels. But, I don't know. I guess I'm just not really feeling this one. To plug it all in, I rate Spider-Man Friend or Foe a 4 out of 10. It's not really an amazing game, but if you get placed in a similar situation such as I, and are waiting for a game you pre-ordered to arrive, or if you just want to get through a simple brawler game, then this just might be the game for you. I might review the other Activision Spider-Man games eventually. If you're interested in seeing that, as well as any other game or show or movie, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya, chump!